Take a look at what I just bought, a random cardboard box. And oh wait, there's actually a PC inside. I picked this up from someone on Facebook for just $30. Yeah, $30. So the real question is, why was it so cheap? Because as you can see, it looks absolutely terrible on the outside. But trust me, don't judge it just yet, because what's inside could be even worse. The specs are extremely weak, like this thing can barely run any modern game at all. But don't click away just yet, because I'm about to spend another $100 upgrading it and try to turn this into a machine that can run modern games. Let's see if that's even possible. I think a lot of you watching this channel can relate to today's topic, because sometimes there are people in your area selling super cheap PCs just because they don't use them anymore. And if you're anything like me, you're always trying to stretch your budget as far as possible to get the best performance for the least amount of money. With a budget of around $100 to $200, you're not going to find a fully built gaming PC, at least not a good one. But if you spend some time browsing used marketplaces, you'll start to come across systems like this. Now here's a quick tip. If you can, always go for a mid-tower case instead of something like small form factor. The price difference usually isn't that big, but MT systems give you way more upgrade potential. That said, you don't always get to choose. Sometimes all you can find is an SFF system. So the real question is, what do you do then? Well, this is how I turn a small limited office PC into a fully capable gaming machine. This is an HP Compaq 8200, a system that originally launched back in 2011. Now, I'm not going to spend too much time talking about the design, because honestly, it's not exactly pretty, but don't worry, I'll try to improve the look later and make it a bit more presentable. Let's take a look inside. One thing I really like is the power supply design. It actually swings open like a door, which makes working inside super easy. The board supports up to 4 RAM slots, but right now it only has a single 8GB stick installed. And most importantly, it has a PCIe by 16 slot, which means there's still hope to turn this into a gaming machine. But there's one big problem. There's no storage drive at all. The only thing inside is a DVD drive. And yeah, I'm definitely not using that. So I'll need to install a drive first just to see if the system even works and to find out what CPU is inside. All right, let's power it on. Thankfully, it powered on right away. That's always a good sign. Inside, we've got a pretty weak chip, the Intel Celeron G1630. Just 2 cores, 2 threads, locked at 2.8 GHz. And yeah, the performance is exactly what you'd expect. In CPU-Z, it scores around 524 multi-core and 268 single-core. Nothing impressive. I also tried playing a 1080p video, and surprisingly it handled it really well, which is kind of impressive for a chip from 2013. Thanks to its integrated graphics, it's still optimized for that resolution. But the moment I pushed it up to 1440p, everything fell apart. You can clearly see the stuttering, the lag, and the CPU is pinned at 100% usage the entire time. Yeah, that's definitely the limit of this system. Let's start with Minecraft, and honestly, it completely struggles. The world takes forever to load. I had to wait quite a while just to get into the game. Once I'm in, FPS sits around 20 FPS with constant frame drops. So I tried lowering the render distance all the way down to just 2 chunks, and yeah, that helped a lot. FPS jumps up to around 60 FPS, which is actually playable, but let's be real. Playing at 2 chunks is extremely limiting, and if I even think about turning on shaders, this CPU would just collapse. Now switching over to Tomb Raider 2013, I had to drop the resolution to the lowest possible setting just to get around 25 to 30 frames per second, and it gets worse. When I tried launching CS2, it didn't even load into the game. The system just froze on the loading screen, and I had to force shut it down. Yeah, at this point, it's clear. This system is way below the minimum for modern gaming. About 13 years ago, this system could handle an entire office workload without breaking a sweat. But now, in 2026, there's really not much I can do with this weak integrated graphics anymore. So yeah, I think it's time to say goodbye. You've done your job well. Time to rest, my friend. Now let's talk about the limitations of this system. The motherboard uses proprietary power connectors, which means you can't just swap in a standard PSU. You also can't remove the motherboard without taking off the CPU cooler. So upgrading the cooling system isn't really an option either. That said, the design isn't bad. There's a fan that cools both the CPU and the VRM area. which can get pretty hot even under normal use. But unfortunately, this isn't a performance-focused chipset, so overclocking is basically off the table. However, we still have one big advantage. This board uses the LGA1155 socket, which supports 2nd and 3rd gen Intel CPUs, Sandy Bridge and Ivy Bridge. And luckily, I already have a really solid chip ready. Intel Core i7-2700K. This CPU is almost identical to the Intel Core i7-3770, which is basically the best you can install on this platform. The performance difference between them is only around 2%, so upgrading beyond this doesn't really make sense financially. As for RAM, it's currently running at 1600 MHz, which isn't ideal, even for its time. But hey, we work with what we've got. I added another 8GB stick for just $15, and now we're running 16 GB total. That alone is going to make a huge difference for this system. Now, moving on to the GPU, I suddenly remembered I already picked up a low-profile card for just $30. That is the NVIDIA Quadro K1200. And honestly, this thing is a perfect fit for this build. It offers surprisingly decent gaming performance, it's very power efficient, and most importantly, it fits perfectly inside this tight, small form factor case. Alright, let's get it installed and see how this system performs in games. Now in Minecraft, performance has improved a lot. At 2 chunks, FPS goes well above 200 FPS, and even when I push it up to 32 chunks, it still holds around 70 FPS, which is actually a very playable experience. But what about something more demanding, like Cyberpunk 2077? Yeah, not great. At 720p, it only manages around 20 frames per second, and honestly, that's pretty rough. Now, you can game on the NVIDIA Quadro K1200, but in more demanding titles, that 4GB of RAM starts to feel a bit limited. So I decided, it's time for an upgrade. Sure, I could go for a more powerful, low-profile GPU, but those things are expensive, and that would completely blow my budget. So instead, I went with an older, full-size card. Something like this. The AMD Radeon RX 580 2048 SP 8GB, which I picked up for just $60. Now, fitting this into the case, that's where things get crazy. Space is the biggest problem. So I had to rotate the cooler in a different direction, remove the rear I/O bracket, and even cut part of the case. And just like that, and now there's finally enough room for a full-size GPU. But of course, that comes with trade-offs. Since the airflow is now completely different, I had to create a custom cooling setup near the card. It's not pretty, it's kind of sketchy, but it works, and it keeps the cost as low as possible. Now here's the real problem. Power. This GPU can pull up to 150 watts. The CPU, around 95 watts. That's already way more than what this 240-watt power supply can safely handle. But don't worry, I've got a workaround for that. I'll show you in a second. For now, the GPU needs a 6-pin power connector, so I had to use a SATA to 6-pin adapter. Not something I'd recommend. And as for the side panel, yeah, that had to go. I needed to cut it open to make space for the GPU and its cooling. Anything that could touch the card? Gone. At this point, this is no longer just a simple upgrade. This is straight up surgery on a budget PC. At this point, everything is almost perfect, but the outside, it still looks terrible. Scratched, worn out, just ugly. So I decided to give it a fresh new look, a full repaint. And this time, I went with white, just to make it feel completely different from what it used to be. And after everything was done, wow, it's like a completely different machine. Honestly, I didn't expect it to turn out this good. It's a full transformation. Alright, now before we jump into performance testing, there's one more thing I need to do. This GPU draws a lot of power, so I'm going to undervolt it to reduce power consumption without sacrificing performance. Alright, back to performance testing. In Minecraft with shaders at 32 chunks, it actually holds a steady 60 frames per second. And throughout my gameplay, there were very few frame drops. Now that's honestly impressive. Now moving on to CS2. At low settings, I can now play comfortably at around 60 frames per second. No major issues, just a smooth, playable experience. And finally, Cyberpunk 2077. While walking around, FPS can reach up to 50 FPS. But when driving into crowded areas with lots of NPCs, it drops down to around 25 frames per second. So yeah, I've successfully upgraded a 15-year-old office PC. It's not insanely powerful, but it's now capable of running modern games. What do you think about this build? Let me know down in the comments.